Stallions, we are moving on to Capítulo 5A. This is our new blue and white for Capítulo 5A. The página is página 262. Página 262. Okay, we're talking about natural disasters and weather extremes. El huracán, los huracanes. Notice the accent is there on the singular and it disappears on the plural. La inundación, las inundaciones. Same situation, accent disappears on the plural. All Sion words are feminine. All Sion words are feminine. Think about the word inundate. I got inundated with emails. I got inundated with texts. That means you got flooded. You got a lot of them, right? So you think of inundate and inundación, and you make that Latin connection. Llover, to rain. It's a stem-changing boot verb. Llueve mucho in Hawaii. No llueva mucho in Arizona. Okay, so llueve. You're not going to, some people pronounce it llueve. Some people will say llueve, more of a J sound. It depends if you're from Argentina and Uruguay. In certain parts of South America, they're going to do more of the llueve. Otherwise, other parts of the Spanish-speaking world do llueve. So both are correct. You're not going to do any other conjugations other than the it form because you would never say I rain or we rain. It's just the it form. It rains. Llueve. La lluvia is the noun rain. La lluvia. Nevar is the stem-changing boot verb to snow. And so if we do it in the he, she, it form, nieva mucho en Alaska. Nieva mucho en Canadá. Nieva mucho en en Ohio. Muy bien. And then think of this Nev connection with Nevada, the Sierra Nevadas. Like in English, when we say the Sierra Nevadas, really means the snowy mountains. Las Sierras Nevadas are the snowy mountains. The adjective Nevada really means snowy, which is kind of an interesting name for that state of Nevada, because you probably associate Nevada more with Vegas and not necessarily snow, but remember Reno and parts of Tahoe, part of Tahoe, I should say, is in Nevada, and it does nieva mucho en Tahoe y en Reno. Okay, el terremoto. Think of this connection to the Latin root for terror that refers to the land, like extraterrestrial, someone who's from a different land than ours. Terracotta, if you know what terracotta is, it's that color of clay. It's clay, and it's that color of pots that we tend to associate with planted pots, planted flowers. So terrestrial, terrain, you see all those Latin connections. And then moto, think of a motorcycle as movement, and so an earthquake, a terremoto, earth in movement. Also a temblor, temblor looks like tremble. Temblor is also a word for earthquake. La tormenta, if you see the torm portion in storm, you can make that connection. Okay, we're going to move on to talk about the news, to discuss the news. El artículo, both an article in a newspaper, article on the internet, article in a magazine, and the part of speech article, which is the, if it's a definite article, or a or an if it's an indefinite article. Investigar, el locutor, la locutora. So this announcer word, it can be like the let's say the anchor on a newscast, the main people who sit in the desk and they talk about the news. It also can be someone at an event, the person who has the MC, the master of ceremonies, the person that has the microphone in their hand. The announcer could be a DJ, like a radio announcer. Still could be el locutor, just someone who's talking. If you're at a football game and you hear someone talking over the loudspeaker, that would be el locutor. El noticiero is the newscast. That's the news. When we think about, let's go watch the news and see what's going on. El noticiero. Ocurrir is the verb to occur. It's a cognate, so we don't have to worry about that. El reportero, la reportera, cognate as well. Some people get confused. Well, what's the difference between an announcer and a reportero? So reporters are usually on the field. That means they are, or in the field, not on the field, listen to me, oh my gosh, in the field, which means they are on scene, and they are actually doing the research and talking to people and telling the cameraman what to shoot and all that. So they're the action. And then the announcer is someone who sits usually at the anchor desk. We call them the anchor in English, the news anchor. Okay, tratar de is to try to. Look at the TR connection. However, this also means to treat, as in to treat someone the right way, to treat a patient, to treat. Just like we use it in English, to treat someone the right way, treat someone a certain way, and also to try. All right, moving on to apagar. Apagar is to put out, as in put out a fire. Or turn off. It also means to turn off, as such as turn off your phones and things like that. Apagar. And then I don't want you to get confused with plain old pagar, which is without this A. Pagar is the verb to pay for. Apagar is to put out or turn off. Bajar is the verb to go down, such as when you go down a flight of stairs, you go down a hill, you go down a ladder, your grades go down, anything decreasing. El bombero, la bombera. Comenzar is the verb to start. Look at it, looks like commence, and to commence means to start. Let the festivities commence. So comienzo, comienzas, and changing verb. If you know what a commencement ceremony is, or unfortunately possibly lack thereof this school year, a commencement ceremony is a graduation ceremony. And you might think, well, that's a strange name. I always think of graduation as the ending of an era. Well, really, it's just the beginning, the start of your new chapter in life. So that's what we call them, commencement ceremonies for graduation ceremonies. Another thing I wanted to tell you, it's tezarcargar. So don't forget tezarcargar it in the yo form. If you're doing it in the preterite, yo comencé a estudiar. And the other thing that happens with this verb is in between the verb to start and whatever you're going to start doing, you put an a in the middle. Let's practice that. Yo comencé a hablar. Él comenzó a estornudar. He began to sneeze. We began to study. Comenzamos a estudiar. So we follow it with an a. I wish the book had put an a right here to remind you, but they didn't. Destruir is the verb to destroy. So that I to y is telling you that it's a stem changing word in a way inside the el and the ellos form. It's also actually in the yo form and the tu form in the present tense, but in the past tense, which is what we are really focusing on this chapter, that I turns into a y in the él and the ellos, the third person. El destruyó, ellos destruyeron with a y. That's that three noisy vowel rule that we did a separate video on. Dormido, dormida, asleep. It's the past participle asleep. It's going to match in gender and number to the people who are asleep, or the dog that's asleep. El edificio de apartamentos, apartment building. By the way, apartamentos can also be departamentos in certain parts of the Spanish-speaking world. In Mexico City, for instance, they don't call them apartments, they call them departments, departamentos. So be aware that they are called by both names. La escalera is a ladder. It's also stairs. If you make it plural, it could be stairs or just one stair, one step. Okay, so it's both ladder and stairs or steps. Escaparse is the reflexive verb to escape. Esconder can be reflexive, but it doesn't have to be. If you're hiding your own self behind a rock or a tree, that's me escondí. I hid myself behind a tree. But if I want to say I hid the keys from him, then I would not be using it reflexive. I'm just doing it for the object. So if you're hiding an object, no reflexive. If you're hiding yourself, she's hiding her own self, then it's reflexive. Okay? La explosión, all sion words are feminine. This sion word, though, is an S sion word instead of a C sion word. El humo, smoke. Think of maybe humidity. When it's humid out, the air is very dense, and smoke can be very dense. There's a lot of particles in the air when it's smoky, and when it's humid, there's a lot of water particles in the air. So maybe your humo and humidity can make a connection there. El incendio looks like incendiary device. If you know what incendiary language is a statement that's meant to provoke a strong reaction from people. It's meant to get people riled up. Like, let's say you want to, rile up the crowd. You're in a protest situation and you want to use incendiary language to rile up the crowd and get them going, stir the pot kind of a thing. So incendio is fire. You might have thought fuego meant fire. That also means fire. Fuego, el fuego. Okay. By the way, what do you think an incendio forestal would be? An incendio forestal. Muy bien, forest fire. Los muebles, furniture. Notice how it ends with a neutral E. You're going to have to do a trick with yourself to know that furniture is masculine. I always think of furniture as very strong and sturdy. That, furniture needs to be strong and sturdy. And we think of men as being strong and sturdy. Okay, muerto, muerta, dead, the adjective dead. You've seen that before on El Día de los Muertos. By the way, with the adjective dead, we do not use we do use temporary estar. We do not use permanent ser. And that is probably counterintuitive to a lot of you. Why would we use temporary dead? Está muerto el perro. Él está muerto. Los dos están muertos. We use están and estar, forms of estar with muerto. Think of it this way. You're only temporarily dead if you believe your soul goes on to live in another life. If you can think of it that way, then you can think of it as being temporarily dead. Okay, so never es muerto, please. Always está muerto, está. El paramédico, la paramédica, paramedic, quemarse. Once again, if you're going to burn yourself, if you accidentally burn yourself on something, that's reflexive. If you burn the cooking, whatever you're cooking, instead you burn the tortillas, you burn something that you've cooked too long, then that's not reflexive. Se murieron, that is just from the verb morirse. I wish they had given you just the infinitive morirse. This is one of our purple verbs on our preterite chart. We also call this the flip-flop or the sandal. Me morí, te moriste, se murió, nos morimos, se murieron. So it gets that U right here, even though the original verb was morir. Subir is to go up, the opposite of bajar, and this would be for you to climb up a flight of stairs, for you to go up a hill, a mountain, for your grades to go up, anything to increase or go up. Herido. Herido is the adjective injured. So we want to say, él está herido. He is injured at the moment. Ella está herida. And then the injured person, when we're using it as a noun, now we're saying he is the injured one over there. Go check him out. Él es el herido. Ellos son los heridos. Those people over there are the injured ones. Ellas son las heridas. So it's the same word. Here it's being used as an adjective. Here it's being used as a noun. Okay, kind of like a pronoun, to be honest with you, more of like a pronoun. El héroe is hero. I do not believe it has an E in English. I think that's a typo. It has the E when it goes plural in English, but not when it's singular in English. El héroe. La heroína, the female hero. Rescatar, to rescue. Salvar, to save someone's life. This is to save someone's life. This is not to save money. This is not to save something for another time or to put something away. That's a totally different verb. There are other verbs. To save money is ahorrar, and to save something, put it away, would be guardar, like to guard it. So this is seriously saving someone's life. So it's a synonym for rescuing. Think of it that way. They're synonymous. Valiente, brave. You've heard of valiant in English. Comes from the Latin of brave, and so does valiente. Okay, la vida, life. Vivo, viva, it's the adjective alive. So if I want to say the dog is alive, él está vivo. Once again, we're going to use temporary estar with alive and dead, as I was mentioning earlier. Ellos están vivos. Ella está viva. Que bien. Okay, to tell a story. A causa de, because of. Due to, because of. Afortunadamente, fortunately. Asustado, asustada, frightened or scared. It gets hooked up with the temporary verb estar. La causa, the cause of something. We talked about that similarly up here. Deprisa. Okay, the way we use deprisa is we hook it up with estar. Yo estoy deprisa. Estar deprisa, to be in a hurry. So if I'm asking, are you in a hurry? ¿Estás deprisa? Are those guys over there in a hurry? Están deprisa. The deprisa is written in cement. It does not change. The estar changes instead. De repente, suddenly. De repente, suddenly. This is going to be a preterite tip or offer, a preterite key word. When you see de repente, as we dive into preterite versus imperfect, you're going to realize that's a 100% giveaway to the preterite tense when you see de repente. Gritar is to scream or to cry or yell. Humo is there was or there were. It is actually the past tense of I, H-A-Y. So think about how we used I in Spanish 1. There are a lot of kids in the class. Hay muchos estudiantes. There is one calendar. Hay un calendario. So I is there is or there are. Now, hubo is there was or there were. The book does a poor job. They do not tell you that it could also be were. This is used with events and events only. So if I want to say there was an accident on my street, hubo un accidente en mi calle. There was a party next door last night. Hubo una fiesta al lado de mi casa anoche. There was not a graduation this last year. No hubo graduación. Okay, so hubo, there was, or there were with events. And it comes from, if you're curious about the infinitive, it comes from haber, H-A-B-E-R. You've only used haber as I. Now you're learning it as hubo. We've also learned it as había in the imperfect tense. Next year in Spanish 3, you're going to learn the yo form, the tu form, and you're going to learn it in the perfect tenses. That's a whole nother story. Okay, feel free, though, to ask me anything like that at office hours. Okay, I'd be happy to teach you the present perfect tense at happy hour. Listen to me, happy hour. I don't mean happy hour. At office hours. Oh, geez. Okay, llamar. That's funny. Llamar is to call on the phone. Llamar por teléfono, to call on the phone. Llamar can also just mean like to call out. I'm going to call out your names, everybody. Listen up. Voy a llamar sus nombres. Llamar is reflexive when we want to say I am named. I am called Gabby. I call myself Gabby. Me llamo Gabby. Te llamas Jennifer. Okay, oír is to hear. Makes sense if you know that your oídos are your inner ears and you oír with your oídos. You oír with your oídos. Sin duda, without a doubt. Sin duda, without a doubt. Sin is without. It looks like it says sin. Sin has a bad connotation, negative connotation. Being without something is a bad connotation most of the time. Being without your cell phone, without water, without friends, without money, without your book, without your homework, bad scenario, right? So sin duda, without a doubt. Socorro is the emergency cry for help. You only want to use this if you're truly in an emergency situation. Don't scream that out unless there's seriously something wrong, as in like life and death wrong. Okay? Now, down here, we have the present tense of oír and the preterite of oír, and they have them side by side for you to see the different conjugations. Notice in the present tense, oír is a yo-go verb. It's a yo-go verb. And then in the rest of the present tense, it has that y that we were talking about back in destruir. Well, this is another example. It has the y. Now, in the present tense, the we form has that accent. So no accents to worry about in present tense until the we form, oímos, we hear. Now let's jump over to the preterite of that same verb. I heard, you heard, he heard. Oí, oíste, oyó, oímos, oyeron. This is what I call the three noisy vowel family in the preterite and extra accents in extra places. And that's covered on a separate video, the three noisy vowel video. Same thing happens with the verb creer. So they have the preterite only here. But by the way, in the present tense of creer, you remember from Spanish 1, it's just creo, C-R-E-O. Creo que sí, creo que no. It's not a yo-go verb. But it is a three noisy vowel rule. okay, in the past tense. Now, in the present tense of creer, as I was just mentioning, creo, there's no Y. Crees, no Y. So there's no Y's with this guy in the present tense. Unlike oír, it has Y's in the present tense and the past tense. Okay, so I know that can get a little confusing, but we're going to practice these verbs a lot this chapter. And then we're going to go to leer. Leer is just like creer from Spanish 1. In present tense, which is not right here, but in present tense, yo leo, tú lees, él lee, ellos leen, jump out of the boot, leemos, even though it wasn't even a boot verb to begin with. Now the past tense, leí, leíste, extra accent in an extra place. Three noisy vowel rule, leyó with a Y, leímos, extra accent in an extra place, and then leyeron, three noisy vowel rule with a Y. And then we've got our last one, destruir. This is the three noisy vowel rule, as you can quickly see, but there's no extra, air quotes, no extra accents in extra places, because in the air quotes destruction, the extra accents flew off, right? And that's the way it works with construir, destruir, huir, which is the verb to hurry or flee the scene, try to escape kind of a thing. That's not part of your chapter term. However, you'll get it next year in Spanish 3, and I mentioned it on the video from yesterday. Okay, gracias, Stallions. You are going to be making your own blue and white video for me and submitting it. We have this chapter and one more chapter, and then that's the end of Spanish 2. Gracias, chao.